Good, say so.
Somebody mentioned Sade. How could we forget Sade? You know, yeah, she's from Nigeria.
Yep. All right, so I got another scripture. This is Psalm 60:1. O power, thou hast cast us off. Thou hast scattered us. Thou hast been displeased. O turn thyself to us again. And that's what's happening right now. The Lord is turning himself again unto us again.
And we're mentioning these celebrities because they drive home the point. The Israelites that scattered among the different nations, not because we're saying they're going to convert and come and start teaching the word.
Well, people know them by who they are because of their name.
Yeah, we're using them as an example. I got a scripture for you, the book of John 7:35. It says, then said the Jews, and you notice we went from the Edomites to the Hamites. All right? And if we were to go further, we go to the Ammonites and the Moabites, certain examples of them that are Jake, like Bruce Lee, concerning the Moabites. John 7:35, it says, then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? So again, that backs up Hosea 8:8. The dispersed among the Gentiles. Who is that? Israelites. All right. You got.
I got some. This is Luke 21:24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive unto all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles unto the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And you have Israelites literally. Can you hear? You okay? It's still going. Yeah, it's still going. Yeah, so I'm gonna read that again. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And so you literally have Israelites scattered all over the world. And we're coming, and this particular scripture, this time of the Gentiles, is different from the one in the book of Romans, the 11th chapter, because this one here is talking about the actual nations, because we're coming down to the time where now their time is about to be fulfilled. Now it's time for them to go down, and it's time for us to come up.
Yep. I got a scripture for you, the book of Psalm 106, beginning at the 34th verse. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen. Again, that's Israel. And learned their works, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Like case in point with the Edomites, you serve the Edomites' idol, which is who? Caesar Borgia. Yep. And it became a snare unto you Israelites. That's why so many of you are in these so-called churches bowing down to a so-called white man as Jesus Christ, which has become a snare unto you. Caesar Borgia, that's just one example. And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Another word for snare is a trap. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. You're doing that now. A lot of you are pushing your sons and daughters to go into the program of Esau.
Yeah, like you, Will Smith and Jada Stinking.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. You know, Will Smith's son is like a little girl, and his daughter is like a little boy. Yep. Willow Smith. You know?
Damn shame.
But why? Because Will Smith sacrificed them unto devils. Yep. He sacrificed himself unto devils. That whole family is sacrificed unto devils. Jada Pickett, Will Smith, Willow Smith, Jaden Smith. Can you imagine what they do as a family when they're alone? Come on. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, like we just gave you an example, Will Smith, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons. And you know what? Will Smith will actually sacrifice his son if he has to. All right, to get where he wants to always be. That's what they do. Even the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan. That's what Hollywood is. Hollywood is nothing, or Hollyweird, that's what they call it, is nothing but an idol of Canaan. That's all it is. And the land was polluted with blood. That's it.
This is Leviticus chapter 20, verse 22. It says, you shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land where I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. And that's what happened when Israel started going off and worshiping them different idols. The Lord kicked them out and caused them to go into captivity underneath these other nations. Why do you think that whole situation happened where the Assyrians came in, and plucked Israel out of Samaria and put in those other heathen nations in there instead of us? Because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. So the Lord kicked us out. And we became strange to our land, and eventually we became strange to our customs and to everything else that we had. It says, and you shall not walk in the manner of the nations which I cast out before you. For they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. But I have said unto you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Lord your power, which have separated you from other people. You shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean. And you shall not make your souls abominable by beast, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. And you shall be holy unto me, for I, the Lord, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that you should be mine.
Oh, that backs you up. What happened with Peter, the vision that Peter had with the unclean beasts, that was talking about Israelites in an unclean state. And that's a perfect companion to that, what happened with the Apostle Peter when he had that vision, when he was hungry and he was waiting to be fed, and he went into a trance and he had that vision. And then later he was sent to who? Cornelius, which represented one of those unclean beasts that he saw in the vision.
Which goes back to that scripture in Hosea, the 8th chapter. That Israel shall be as an unclean vessel among the Gentiles, among the heathen. That's how they were, that because the Most High kicked us out of the land.
And what cleanses them? The word.
That's right.
John 17:3, Yahushua said to his disciples, now I have cleansed you through the word,
which I have spoken.
And it's the same thing with Cornelius. He was cleansed through what? The word.
Yeah, famous African Americans of Igbo descent, Queen Latifah. That's just one. And we went through this before. This brother Morgan Freeman, also of Igbo descent, if I'm saying it right. What? Anita Baker, Igbo. So how you gonna get around that, man? Tazariak, famous African Americans of Igbo descent. Anita Bacon. Anita Bacon. That was Satan. Anita Baker. All right. That's something. Yep. Oh, Kofi Annan, and he was the head of the UN at one time, Igbo. So that was the head of the UN was a Negro, an Israelite, a Judite, which I knew about that. Let me see. Yeah, Chireto EG4. That's the lead man in 12 Years a Slave, straight up Igbo, Nigerian. And by the way, we have so-called Nigerians, Igbo people in GMS. All right.
Yep. This is Romans chapter 2. I'll say 24. For the name of the Most High is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written. For circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. So if you break the law, you become uncircumcised.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, that's well known. Flavor Flav, Igbo descent, which I knew about. I met him years ago.
Got a precept for you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. The 26th verse. Therefore, if the uncircumcision, which are the Israelite, because you became uncircumcised by not keeping the law, right? It says, therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? Why? Because now he's going to be cleansed and brought back to the fold, and that's what was happening back then.
Do you know circumcision is proper healthy practice? Because they made a study, right? Those heathens in China, they're getting penis cancer.
Yep.
Why? Because they don't practice circumcision. So circumcision is a healthy. Not only did the Lord say to do it, but it's practical. Everything the Lord said to do is practical.
Yep.
Meaning you can apply it in your daily life.
That's right.
You know, when the Lord said, "Ye shall eat no manner of fat,"
Right.
One of the reasons why, especially the so-called Negro woman, and we saw that when we went to that Brazilian restaurant,
Yes.
they eat nothing but fat.
Yep.
That's why they're so fat.
Meat and starch.
Hey, they got a sign, right? They got the 12 tribes sign, right? Well, this is Rakar, the Gathering of Christ Church, but it says the Igbo people of Nigeria, and it speaks of the Jews. Hey, this guy, man, he using the same tribe sign that Arya that he got from Arya, but he switched it up. You know, he switched the tribes up. Hey, that dude's a scam artist, man. You know.
Yep.
Why white told him a new asshole. Hey, you done with your scripture?
Yeah, come on.
The book of Isaiah 11 and 10, beginning at the 10th verse, it says, "And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign to the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious." And this Gentiles is talking about Israelite foreigners. This root of Jesse is talking about really Yahushua. It's talking about Yahushua, because Yahushua came out of the root of Jesse. Jesse was the father of King David. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time, and this prophecy is being fulfilled even as we speak, to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria. So you're going to have Israelites coming out of Assyria, and from Egypt. You're going to have Israelites coming out of Egypt, and from Paphros, and from Cush, that's Ethiopia. That's why the prophecy says Ethiopia shall stretch out their hands to God. And you got these so-called Rastas breaking that down wrong. They think it's talking about actual Ethiopians. No, it's talking about Israelites that were scattered among the Ethiopians. And here's the prophecy to back it up. The Lord shall set his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Paphros and from Cush and from Elam. That's your East Indians, like the Punjabi people.
Yep.
Like this East Indian restaurant we go to sometimes, they show pictures of the Punjabi people dancing.
Yep.
They got all kind of life. Yeah. Now the scriptures say we are lively stones. And them Punjabi people, they be getting down. Them dancers, watch the East Indian videos. The women are all beautiful, and they get down, man.
Down.
You know? And their food is spicier than, remember that East Indian dude broke it down to us? He said the northern India is less spicy. Southern India is real spicy. Yeah. Why? Because there's mostly Jake down there. All right? And from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts.